everyone. Welcome to episode 21. That's like reverse 12
You got it right. You finally got it right.
of Lesbian Talk.
Ta-da.
Was that fine?
Yes.
Oh, she's making balls explode again. Anyway, we have a show, and at the end of a show, we have some sort of a word thing, and then we gotta use that as a jumping off point for the next episode. And last time it was,
Military.
yeah, that. So, we have to use this as a jumping off point. What can we talk about to do with the military? There was like people with guns, and they run around, and there's like shooting, and there was a military guy in the movie we watched last night, and there's more guns, and do you have anything deep to say?
There's a time that I lied to the Army.
Why'd you lie to the Army?
Well, alright, so, I don't know if this is the way it is in yours, but, in the U.S., after you graduate college, after you graduate high school, you go on lists. Lists, for advertisers and stuff like that, and I wasn't in college yet. It was that semester between when I was, trying to ponder what to do with my life. And I got a call one Saturday from the Army, and the guy was like, "So we totally, we have it on record that you didn't go right into college. So do you want to join the Army?" And I was like, you know me, like I feel like I have to be polite to everybody. So I was like, no, you know what? Really, the Army does not want me. I have to wear glasses. I've had eye surgery in the past. I'm fat and I'm out of shape. I don't even think I could do one pull-up. And he's like, oh, no. See, they changed the rules for pull-ups for women. So now you don't have to do as much as you had to do. I'm like, yeah, but I am really out of shape. I promise you, the United States Army does not want me. And he's like, no. See, because, well, you get into shape in basic training, and you learn life skills and stuff like that. And I'm like, but you don't understand. Like, really, he was like, really giving me the hard sell. And finally, like, well, look, I'm gay. And there was this long pause, and he goes, you don't have to tell me that. I said, I know, but I'm telling you, you really don't want me. I'm gay. And he said, I'm legally allowed to pretend I never heard you say that. And I was like, I have to go. And then, like, 2 years later, they called me again, and I said, oh, I actually joined the Peace Corps. I'm going to be in Asia next year, which was also a lie.
What do you mean also a lie? What other lies did you tell? Are you not gay?
Okay, no, I didn't really lie to the Army, but I just didn't feel like joining the Army. I had things to do. Like, I'm no good in the Army.
Yeah, I can totally see that. And just I was amused that you said, when you told them you were in the Peace Corps, you said that, oh, I lied to the Army again.
No, that was also a lie because I was, one, not in the Peace Corps, and two, not going to Asia.
And that was one. That would count as one lie.
Who's telling the story, me or you?
I'm.
You were in one of those moods where you can't think of anything to say, so you're just gonna pick contrary little holes in my word choice.
I am reviewing your story.
Then I have to go.
Go where? This is your house.
I have to go out to Walmart. There's something I need to get.
Some self-respect. It's expensive.
So, do you have any stories about the military, Missy?
I'm Northern Irish. Every single story about the military involves someone getting shot.
Oh. Well, there was a time I almost joined the Navy.
This is true. You told me about this when we were hanging around the Smithsonian. Tell the people.
Right. So I was living in D.C. and I lived with some really totally horrible people, and they really got on my nerves. And it was during the financial crisis. So the best job that I had at the time was working at the bookstore, and these were just really terrible people. And they decided that they didn't want to be roommate. It was me and this couple. They didn't want to be roommates with me anymore, which was fine. But rather than tell me this, they waited until like a few months before the lease. A few weeks before the lease was up. And then they was like, well, it was too late because if they just re-signed the lease without me, that would be a real dick move, and everyone would know that that was a real dick move, and I was essentially homeless with several weeks' notice. Or they could just re-sign it and get on with it. But then, so what they decided to do was they went to this friend of ours who had been in the Navy to try to convince me that I should join the Navy. And I didn't know this until much later, and she was like, you should totally join the Navy. And I'm like, well, I really like nautical stuff. I always have, but I can join the Navy. I don't think I could get through basic training. I was 30 at the time, and the cutoff was 30. The age cutoff was 34. I said I'm in horrible shape. I'm short and I'm fat. I have vision problems, and I'm gay. And she's like, no, most of the girls that I knew in the Navy were gay. Just don't ask, don't tell, because that was still a thing then. And so I was like, no. She's like, no, look, watch this recruitment video. So Christmas weekend, because my two roommates went they went off with family, so I had the place to myself for the weekend. So I watched all these recruitment videos, and like I read all these testimonials, and I was like, yeah, I should totally join the Navy. I could do it. I could lose the 60 some pounds required to be down to like a size 0 like these other recruits. I could probably do this. So I started like going jogging in like the sub-zero. Now I was also a smoker then, and I had basically been dealing with pneumonia for like months and months while I was down in DC. And so I started running in like the freezing cold while I was still a smoker, and then so they were like, when are you going to call the recruiter? And I was like, well, I want to try to lose some weight first, otherwise he or she's gonna laugh at me. And they were like, you're not serious about this. So I called a recruiter, and the recruiter's like, why do you want to join the Navy? And the bad part about it was the only thing I could think of was because all my friends want me to. Because unbeknownst to me, because when you live down near the federal government, most housing places have a clause where if you're in a shared lease with someone and they join the service, you get a move for free. They'll automatically dissolve the lease and write you a new one because your roommate went off to serve the country. And I didn't know that this existed until afterwards. So the recruiter's like, well, how tall are you? How old are you? How much do you weigh? I'm like, well, he's like, well, you need to lose like about at least 40, 50 pounds. Then come in, come down to the city and we'll talk. Maybe you're an officer candidate, maybe you're not. We'll see what we can do for you. I was like, all right, fine. And so I was working on this, and it was around, I think maybe like a month later, that I was out with a friend of mine. We were going to this party down in, I think like Sterling, Virginia or something like that. And she was like, so I heard you're trying to join the Navy. And I'm like, yeah, I've got blue dreams, man. I'm going to make this happen, and I'm dedicated and things and stuff and all this other crap. And she was like, well, so why are you doing this? And I was like, well, and again, the only thing I could think of was all my friends want me to. So I was like, it's a good way to, learn tech skills. Now, this friend of mine works for Department of Homeland Security, and she's a network administrator. She's Security Plus certified. She's just an incredible computer person. And she said, there's a lot easier ways to learn those computer skills than 4 years in the service. For example, there's night school, and it'll be a lot cheaper. Also, you're gay. And I was like, I know, but apparently that's not an issue. She's like, no, apparently it is an issue. And so she talked me out of it. And then, like, months later, when it was spring and they were angry at me again, they were like, you promised you would join the military. And you lied. You failed us and you failed your country. But then the heroin addict and his girlfriend found out about what was going on, and they had me move in with them up in Maryland. So
Everyone you knew before you met me were horrible, horrible people.
That's not true. The friend who's the network administrator, she's really awesome. And my bestie Mel, you met her, and Sam.
Okay, and, yeah, so they're nice. I'm talking about the ones that you were living with there, and who made you in the Navy, and then the people, because the quote-unquote heroin addict and his wife.
Well, he's not a heroin addict anymore. He's a nice guy. I talked to him. He's got some issues.
They were horrible to you as well.
No, they had issues. They had their own issues to deal with, and they'll work that out as a couple. I mean, I talked to him a few months ago. He's doing all right. You're making that face again.
Horrible, horrible people.
No.
Better hope that I don't meet them.
You probably won't. But anyway, do you know what else involves the military? Not Skype. People are always Skyping at you. You're so popular. Do you know that when I'm an op on RDA, like in the chat, a lot of times like your fans will comment, be like, oh my gosh, hi Omega, how's Hagen? I'm like, oh, she's doing good. She's asleep right now. Or if you're in your country, I'm like, I'm sure she's up to something. And like they'll just like talk to me and tell me their lives, and I'm like, that's kind of cool, I guess. I'll be like, so Hagen, we said hi, okay? And I'm like, aw. So I think they think that I'm talking to Omega. That's almost like talking to Demon Hagen.
And yet, whenever I turn up in the RDA room, almost no one talks to me.
No, that one person did because they were talking to me. That's one of the people that talk to me all the time.
Yeah, that's what I said. Almost like maybe one person every night. It's hardly like the stampeding hordes that you just described.
It's not stampeding hordes. It's like one or two people. I think it's cool.
Yeah, I'm happy to talk to people. I'm unlike some people who are in take and stuff. I always delighted to talk to my fans. Possibly because I don't have that many. So
no, your fans are nice people.
Comparatively, so it's never a bother. It's oh, this person spends their time watching my stuff and they enjoy it. So I am so glad to hear about that. it makes me feel really happy to know that I'm, making their day a little better.
I think it's cute. Like when we went to like Times Square. For those of you that don't know, Che Apocalypse put on this really cool little thing up at Times Square in New York when we went, and so we were standing there talking. I think about like something really stupid or really silly, like should I defrost the turkey breast tomorrow because I'm not sure if we're going to eat that, but you wanted to make Mexican, and then like out of the corner of my eye, I see somebody like sidling on up, and they were standing there. I'm like, oh hi. And this person's like, oh my gosh, do you mind talking? Oh, I'm sorry I interrupted you. And we're like, no, come talk. We're just talking about turkey breast. Don't worry about it. And it was like, they're like, oh my gosh, I'm so excited to meet you. And like all of the other people, like, who would like talk to Todd and Lindsay and Nash and Hope, like, they just, they seemed like so incredibly happy about it. It was like adult puppies, or not adult, like because some kids were just kids, but people were like puppy happy, and that made me happy. That made me feel good.
Yeah, it's not often that you've got such close connection between fan bases and the so-called celebrities, and it doesn't always work out very well. Sometimes just severe problems come from that. But at times like the Times Scare thing or Magfest or Con Bravo or whatever, it can be really really nice. And I wish some of the people I was a big fan of, I was able to hang out with them even for a few minutes. Doesn't really happen, but it's really
Well, like
really
that time
cool.
we were at the Philly meetup. I don't know if we told the story before, but we were in Philly with a whole bunch of other folks and some producers and stuff, and we ended up at
Oh
this
yes,
diner. I don't even know what part of the city we were in by that point in time because
it
I
was
wasn't
it was
driving.
very near the bridge to New Jersey.
Yeah, it was in like the ass of Philly. But so we were there, and it was like literally maybe 12 or 1 in the morning.
Yeah, it was
It
us
was
two. It was Paw, Maven of the Eventide, Owen Citizen,
Cold Guy,
Cold
the
Guy,
engineer,
the engineer who runs Spoonie's website, Mikey Insanity and Elsie from Then Critic TV.
Demo Versailles, and Karen.
Yes, Color the Grayscale and Demo Versailles. Anyone else?
I think that was everybody. You got
Okay,
you got Kyle and Ben, right?
I mentioned Cal, didn't mention Then, but
Okay.
Then was there too.
So, like, we were just like talking. I'm like, oh my gosh, things and stuff, and like you talk in a diner.
And we'd noticed this guy at the table next to us who, like, sort of glancing over every
He
so
looked like he
often.
was like maybe late teens, early 20s.
Yeah, and he was like, huh? Huh? He was like glancing over mostly at Paul and Elisa.
I was worried that we were being noisy and obnoxious.
And but then he came over, and not only was he a big fan of Tigwatig, he was a big fan of Tigwatig, who just so happened to have on him copies of Kikassia and Suburban Nights. Tobolifly had not come out at this point.
See, my thinking was it looked family, so they went on a trip, and he had like because they were in a binder, like one of those like CD wallets.
Yeah,
So he might have just had them with to like watch on his laptop or something.
yeah, and that sounds pretty accurate.
And then he goes to the rest of us. Wait, who are all you guys? Do you work like behind the scenes at Channel Awesome? We're like, no, we're our own people. Don't worry with it.
Yeah, it was like he recognized Paul and Elisa. I think he recognized Cold Guy as well, but he recognized Owen Citizen as that guy who turned up in one of Fails' videos, which
And Kyle made a face.
he was not pleased about. And he didn't recognize me, and I was fine with that. I was like, "Hi, I'm Diman Dahagan. I'm the non-famous one who wears makeup."
I thought it was neat because it was like he, was just so excited about it. And the person that he went to was Paul. And Paul and I have only hung out a few times, but he seems like a really sweet, really nice guy. And he was like, "Oh yes, hi, yeah, I'm Paul. How are you doing? Oh yeah, I'll sign that. Sure, yeah, you got
Yeah,
me.
yeah, he got autographs, he got photos taken, and I'm pretty sure whoever that guy was, I'm pretty sure it
If you're
made his
listening, write
night.
the show.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it made his night, and we'd had a rough night earlier that night,
Oh, good lord,
and
the horror.
that made the whole day had been fairly rough. It was pretty badly executed.
Next time we do a Philly meetup, we're gonna have more common sense.
Yeah, we're not going to sort of walk 25 blocks to go to a museum to do more walking in the middle of the rain.
We're gonna have a plan. Well, okay. In all fairness, we couldn't have anticipated the rain.
That's
I
true.
mean, we could have checked the weather, but that's not the point.
We should have gone for the underground. But yeah, that was a really nice end to a mostly not very good day.
This is true. So I mean, that's cool. And like I mean, I never like when we're at cons and stuff. If you're listening and you see Hagen at a con and we're happen to be talking about something and you don't know if you should walk up and say something, walk up and do because
Yeah,
we talk all the time. So, I can just stop talking and play on my cell phone, if you want to have one-on-one time with someone you like.
Yeah, yeah, always. But something that mystifies me whenever I always try whenever someone who likes the show comes up and talks to me. I try to to give them as much time as possible. Answer questions, anything like that. I think the only time I recall when I didn't do that is I was at this convention in Belfast when I was feeling ill,
Oh yeah, we were talking about this.
and I went to after that I went to my Facebook group and apologized for the fact that I wasn't really able at the time to talk to them properly.
No, she texts me and she's like, just got to the con, don't feel well, think I've got flu. And then gets back on Skype and she's like, oh, but anyway, thanks and stuff. And I'm like, you need to sleep, is what needs to happen.
Yeah, but this so I certainly always attempt to be nice to people because they take the time to watch my stuff, they take the time to enjoy my stuff to to its degree that they would like to talk to me, just little old shitty me.
You're not
So
shitty.
I so I want to give them as much time as possible because they're fans. I'm a fan of a lot of things. I know what it's like.
I'm a
And,
fan of Dave Matthews. Heart
and
bubbles coming out of my head.
but I remember this was mystifying to me. I think it was Tigwitig's Secrets right after Magfest. They'd a list. This person had met a bunch of Tigwitig people, and they put down how that what one word to describe them in beside the name. And a lot of they commented on how nice a lot of people were and things like that, or a couple of them maybe were standoffish or seemed standoffish, but they might have been tired. Blah blah. I just got polite.
Well, you are very polite. I think it's because people expect you to like always be in the Hagen character, and when you're not, they're like, "Oh, well, she's very nice and polite, that young girl." They say if their name is Ethel and they're from the 1920s.
Yeah, but everyone else got like sort of nice or kind or whatever. It's like polite to me, just polite by itself suggests I was cold, and
I don't think. I think it denotes that, like I said, they were expecting, "Oh God damn it, Minion! I will fuck people's skulls." And you were like, "Hi, how are you? Oh, that's good. I like you. I like you. Like my show. Hello, dear."
yeah, but
Also, you have a British accent. Well, some kind of British accent. And Americans interpret that as being more formal.
well, maybe I'm interpreting it wrong, and but it just felt to me like I was sort of cold. Just
I
polite by itself sounds cold to me, and if that's the case, I'm sorry.
Or maybe it was an old person that submitted that, and their grandmother or grandfather, and they were like, "That young whippersnapper, well, she was so polite. You don't see that much these days."
Even with the makeup.
Exactly.
But
Where's my soup?
anyway, now this is the third time we've done this. It's going to be the third time. It's not going to be done again until the next time Omega and I are together in one place,
Together. I
which
wasn't following that.
might actually be within the next month. I'm not entirely sure.
Hopefully.
Um, I brought a bunch of movies over to make Omega watch, movies that I thought were good and she'd never seen before, and just so we can talk about it in the show. And now, previously we've looked at The Shining and Big Trouble in Little China, and these reviews are always very, very short because basically,
Well, it's not really a review per se. It's more like I think so.
yeah, well,
Because you know how like you just meant to see a movie and it's really famous, and then you just don't have time for it because you're working or reading something or on the internet, and then someone's like, "You've never seen such and such movie? Oh my god!" And you're like, "Well, I have shit to do." This is kind of like that.
yeah, the our discussion here is a bit like an audio vlog, but very, very short usually.
Yeah.
Well, we watched another one today, and it was what was it?
Return of the Living Dead.
Brains! Send more paramedics! Brains! What did you think?
I thought it was good. It was silly. It was kind of funny. I liked that. I didn't like that the zombie could talk and were intelligent. That's not my preferred kind of zombie, but I guess it was supposed to be 80s schlock, so you can get away with that kind of thing.
You nearly cried when James Cameron died.
I did. Wait, what?
The old guy in the incinerator.
Oh no, I thought it was very noble that he sacrificed himself because he knew he would become a brains-eating zombie, and he, put his wedding ring on the thing, and he was like, "I will incinerate myself." Zombie me said.
For the good of everyone.
Yeah, so that was noble of that guy. So he was a good guy in the end, Frank. He tried his hardest.
Yes. Well, Return of the Living Dead is, for a zombie movie that shares executive producers with Children of the Living Dead, it's very, very good.
I thought it was good. I mean, the effects seemed good and the acting seemed good. I like how like the group of kids basically was embodied every single '80s fashion trope at once. Like there
Yes,
was like one for each.
there was. And they had the extremely naked woman doing the dance and stuff. Although I looked on the trivia, and she was only actually naked for the dancing scene. The rest of the time, they sort of made her look like she was
Yeah, it
naked, but
looked
she
like she was
wasn't.
wearing like a leotard or something.
Yeah. The one of the producers basically insisted after that, they didn't have the time or money to go back and refilm the dancing scene with it, so that's the only part when she's really naked. The one thing we noticed when watching it, well, I noticed, and then I discovered this was actually true, that the character of Ernie, when you first see him, he's listening to 1940s German army music. He's got a 1940s gun. He's got his hair. His hair is white, which makes it like uber blonde. He what was the other bit of evidence I noticed? He uses an oven,
Yeah.
and I was like, I think they're just for a laugh making this guy out to be a Nazi. Looked
Oh,
on the trivia, and it was true.
like there's apparently a framed picture of Ava Braun in his office.
Yeah, this was entirely deliberate, and which is really weird considering the character of Ernie is one of the goodies.
Well, he's kind of. I mean, he wears a gun. Well, I guess he could wear a gun because he's afraid that someday someone's going to figure out who he is. But at the end, he is kind of willing to shoot the girl in the head and give her to the zombie to appease him.
I, it's possible, but I interpreted his actions there as
He would shoot them both.
yeah,
Oh.
that's if necessary. That
And apparently, he and the other were named for Bert and Ernie.
um, actually, according to the trivia,
That's what I read it.
no, if you reread the trivia, I'm pretty sure he said that he named Bert and Ernie not realizing about
Oh.
not remembering Bert and Ernie.
Oh, okay, that's fine.
But it's still funny either way. So yeah, Return of the Living Dead.
I mean, I'm not really big. I'm so over zombies, and I feel bad because I was so over zombies in like 2003 when like I some of my friends, back up in Philly were a little bit pretentious. I'm not gonna say who in case anyone's listening, but there were some that were like, oh my gosh, zombie this, and so I'm like, I am so and like literally I don't want to sound like a hipster, but I was so done zombies before they hit. When they were just starting to be a thing, and I was like, whatever.
Being back in 1969.
No, 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 like pop culturally, the recent zombie boom.
Oh, the new zombies.
Yeah.
Ah, it's fair enough.
I mean, I've read World War Z. Apparently, they're really going to cock up the movie, but I don't really play any zombie video games because just I don't see the point. And everyone's like, "It's better if it's a zombie," and I'm like, "Stop being a sheep, sheeple, wake up, sheeple."
I gotta show you Dead Set at some point. It's Charlie Brooker, who was the guy who inspired Yahtzee,
Hmm.
and someone actually compared one of my shows to Charlie Brooker, and I can't remember which one they did, but I can't remember. Someone in one comment at one point did. It's no way a good comparison. He's much better than I am, but he occasionally writes drama stuff, and he wrote a six-part, I think it was 6 parts, zombie sort of TV thing from British TV, and it was basically imagine like a reality TV show, and the people are trapped, like a real world house or Big Brother house or whatever.
Hmm.
But there's a zombie apocalypse going on outside.
Do they really know that they're on a TV show, or do they think they're going to be on Survivor and then the zombie apocalypse hits?
No, they're in the house and they're being televised constantly, but because they're sort of disconnected from the outside world, they don't realize that the zombie apocalypse has happened.
Oh, okay.
And they got a bunch of British TV personalities connected with shows like that to play themselves, and they all got turned into zombies, and it was hilarious.
That's kind of cool. I mean, zombies is like a literary thing. I could see. Actually, if I was ever gonna write anything for zombies, I like the idea of a kind of nerdy necromancer. It's just like, well, I found this book. Maybe I'll make some zombies. Oh look, I'm gonna be ruling the world. That's kind of cool. Like Harold Lautner from The Stand. Or I like the idea of like some guy who wakes up, he kind of regains his consciousness, and he realizes, oh shit, I'm one of the living dead. It was only ever a rough idea, so I don't think I'd ever do anything with it because the
I'm pretty
idea of
sure a movie did that,
the trope of zombies don't really excite me very much. So,
even though you wrote a short story about one.
well, no, actually, the short story was going to be I submitted for an anthology about zombies in a historical setting, and it's called The Sons of Carbon County, and it was not accepted for the anthology, so I sold it to Pseudopod, the horror webzine podcast. So you'll end up finding out my real name if you didn't know it before. But if you go to Pseudopod, if you do like a Google search for the Sons of Carbon County, they had a voice actor named Cheyenne Wright, who is also a webcomic artist, who has an amazing voice. They had him do the reading of it, and it was pretty good. I had fun writing it, and I actually had a reporter from Carbon County, Pennsylvania, because that's where it's based, from some small paper, I forget which, called me up to interview me about it, and so I gave him a short interview. I don't know if it was ever published or not, but that was back in 2008, I think.
Yep. Omega is a published author.
Oh yeah, I am. I've sold work to spacewesterns.com, and then also while the Life and Style Philly magazines were around, which was Chester County, Montgomery, and Delaware County, I did some nonfiction news articles for them. I think I did one about the new curator for the Philadelphia Maritime Museum. That was cool because they treated me like a real journalist and everything. I got like a press kit and a tour. I did an interview with the owner of the Philadelphia print shop, really amazing guy, and with one local artist whose name I can't remember. But yeah, I've sold my work for money.
And I've got an idea for some movie I'd like to do. But oh yeah, on Charlie Brooker, I gotta really show you some of his stuff. He also did a thing called Black Mirror, which is short even for a British show, like through 2 seasons, both 3 episodes, and it's basically like a British sort of Outer Limits type thing, but it's all dealing with sort of future media related dystopias, and it's really really cool. Brooker is really interesting. He also did an article thing all the time for the Guardian, and for one of his articles on there, he was investigated by either the CIA or the FBI.
For what? Talking about zombies?
No, he was being annoyed about George W. Bush and ended his opinion piece with John Wilkes Booth, "Where are you now?"
Oh,
sorry, or "Where are you? Where are you when we need you?" Something like that.
Yeah, back in the day, I could see that really getting you in trouble.
But yeah, Brooker's really interesting, and we've got a section from the interview that we did with Stuart Urban, director of Preaching to the Perverted.
Really cool guy.
Yes, and the full interview is about 40 minutes long. It deals with more than just Preaching to the Perverted. It deals with a hell of a lot of his other films. Devashish, I Am Not Dead, about his father who was imprisoned by the Nazis and the Soviets. It deals with his religious sort of movie called Revelation, which I bought by accident thinking it was one of the apocalypse movies, and it was actually better than the apocalypse movies. His latest film, May I Kill You, he's had a fascinating career, and the full interview is 40 minutes long. It's on Project Million Entertainment, but until then,
this is selections from the episode, a highlight, if you would.
Yes. Hello everyone, welcome to a special interview with me, the Amanda Hagen, and
me, the Omega. Woot.
Yep, we are interviewing award-winning British filmmaker Stuart Urban.
Hello.
Now, people who have watched my show will have come across Mr. Urban's work, whether you realize it or not, because he directed Preaching to the Perverted, one of the movies I reviewed in my 3rd season, I believe.
Yeah, what was your 3rd season?
And personally, one of my preferred films from 3rd series. Really, really enjoyed the film. So where did you get the idea for doing a BDSM romantic comedy?
Well, as I said once in an interview at Cannes, actually, it wasn't at Cannes, it was in the market, I said to a film journalist, well, it's of course another adaptation of Jane Austen's unknown novel, Perversion. And this bloke he wrote down, like, perversion. And I was actually going to publish it, I think. He was a very young journalist, and I had suggested that Jane Austen's undiscovered work was the inspiration, and he did swallow it. No, it wasn't. It was, in fact, the prosecution of fetish clubs and some pretty heavy BDSMers, as they call them, who had done things which were so scandalous that the government and police felt that a criminal prosecution and jail sentence was the only reaction, because these guys had sent their videos through the post, And I just thought, well, I mean, this is just nuts. These people who harm only themselves, if you can call it harm. I mean, it wasn't permanent harm, but it was quite graphic. I mean, quite intense. This is nuts that they're being prosecuted. So I went to a couple of the trials, and of course went to the fetish clubs to see what the fuss was about. And I came out kind of dazed, like a sort of cartoon figure with my eyes out on stalks, and was in a sort of daze for 2 weeks, kind of wanting to go up to people on street corners and say, do you realise that there is this incredible world, the fetish clubs, and all these things go on there, and it's just. I felt a bit like Peter actually in the film, the character who wanders into the world as an infiltrator. Well, doesn't wander; he targets the world. But I was only infiltrating for the purpose of having amusing time and seeing what was actually going on there. That was what was all the fuss about,
So did you dress up for the part, or did you just go as yourself, or did you like go and drag like Ricky Tomlinson in Preaching, or?
Well, you can't. You've got to respect their dress code, or you won't get in, basically. So I had to think of something that didn't look too comical, and so I went with my wife as Soviet officers because we had got these uniforms out of the Soviet Union just after its collapse, or rather, it was Russia by then, and they were fantastic outfits, which were like KGB. She was KGB, and I was a tank colonel, I think, or major, and. Actually, when I was there with quite a well-known actor from the bill, there was we were sort of outed or I mean, he had a full piece about him because there was an entrapment piece in News of the World about Jeff Stewart, who used to play P.C. Hollis for any of your fans of the bill, and I was described as a known director in a Nazi uniform. And the only thing that really upset me was that I was described as being a Nazi, which was really insulting. And isn't really done. Those you don't really go around. As far I don't remember seeing people with swastikas on, but maybe they were.
Yeah, slightly different group, it really seems. One thing I noticed after rewatching Preaching to the Perverted, in the years since it was made, and since I'd first seen it, and then till I did the review, the some elements of it had actually come to pass, such as the criminalization of consensual violent porn in the UK.
There's a lot of ongoing issues. I think I'm not up on exactly the current state of the law, but yes, I mean, well, certainly in Iceland, I think you'd be in trouble for watching Preaching to the Perverted, liberal Iceland, where any film or any content which mixes sex and well, you could call it violence. I mean, it's just people hurting themselves consensually. Is liable to banning or blocking and criminal prosecution.
So if we roll over to going back to Preaching to the Perverted, so we can talk about the Kickstarter.
Yep. Okay. Well, this film, Preaching to the Perverted, that was when it first came out, it was hailed by a lot of the kind of fashion, gay, and music press. They loved it. The conventional press mostly hated it, although there were some good reviews, and said, they just dismissed it. This film, 16 years on, has become certainly the first European film to be restored and remastered by its fans on social media, crowdfunding, and that's on the Kickstarter site. There may have been other ones on Indiegogo, I don't know, but certainly only a couple of, I think, American smaller films and some documentaries had been done before us. We became, I believe, the first European film to achieve that by just appealing to the fans that, look, we don't have the film in HD, the 35mm meg is in danger of being thrown away because it's high storage costs and needs to be restored anyway. The pictures, the oxide of the magnetic tape, the sound masters decaying. And so, incredibly, they've supported the film. We've passed our target by 125%. We don't make any money out of it because it's quite an expensive process, but it is still available for people who'd love to just get a digital download or other interesting rewards like dinner with a dominatrix or all kinds of interesting and crazy rewards are available, and some of them, at very reasonable prices, some at crazy prices, and some people have paid crazy prices to have
Yeah,
them. So,
you had some props from the film for available,
yep.
including the mannequin, which personally I would have loved. That was
Yeah,
really cool.
he sat by my desk for 15, 16 years of writing, and my wife said, look, we've got to, we're going to be downsizing soon, and this is decluttering. He's got to go. And he's become like a pet. I just couldn't bear to throw him away. I mean, after all, he was kind of animated in the film and got kind of this amazing reaction when he was tortured as a cyber voodoo doll by his mistress online.
Yep.
In other words, his owner, for those who haven't seen the film, his owner, when the mistress wags, sort of tortures the doll by waggling its penis and other things, the man who's the avatar online receives electric shocks in those areas. And of course, we shot it in 1996. To people at that point, the idea was so outlandish that some people couldn't even understand the scene. Saying, why is this doll being tortured and the man online, in some other location receives electric shocks? So anyway, the doll has been sold for £425. He needs a bit of leg surgery. His leg has become detached, but I'm sure he'll be well restored by our prop master. And yeah, we sold him. Guinevere Turner's been sold for a meal in Los Angeles. I have been sold 6 times. I've got to do a lot of dinners now.
Well, there are worse things to be sold
Yeah.
for.
It's great that the fans have paid for it. That's nice. I mean, we host the dinner, so and we're going to have a premiere of the remastered film at London's BAFTA, British Academy, which will probably be the most unusual premiere they've had, as I think it'll be largely a fetish crowd. So yeah, I just hope it doesn't end up with the police being called like the premiere we had in Leicester Square in '97.
I honestly am very excited about the proposition of there being a sequel to Preaching to the Perverted.
Thank you.
You've got our support, so.
Brilliant. Thank you,
And-
and all the best, and thanks so much for the time.
Okay, and thanks for coming on, Stuart. It's been very interesting.
Yeah,
We've learned a lot today.
great.
So I hope that all of you found that interesting. And like we said before, we do have the full interview up. It went up about a few weeks ago, so you can go check that out if you're interested. But now it's time for Giovanni's trivia question. Well, fact, really. Giovanni, are you here? Yeah, boss. I've just been hanging out, listening to the interview, that kind of stuff. Well, so do you have a riveting trivia fact for us this week? You bet I do. It's actually a little bit of history. Do you know that the shortest war that ever existed was between Britain and Zanzibar? It's true. It happened in 1896 and it only lasted about 38 minutes. Probably because Zanzibar had really no military to think of, and Great Britain with all their, warships and cannons and other kind of stuff kind of went in and mopped the floor with them.
It was the equivalent of someone who's about 6'7" fighting a dwarf and holding the dwarf at arm's length while kicking them in the nuts over and over again.
Well, are Britain and Zanzibar friends now? Or do they still have issues?
Not entirely sure where Zanzibar is. I think it's near Africa. Yeah, it's in Africa.
I think it's in Africa.
That's where Freddie Mercury came from.
You're amazing.
What?
So anyway, now explain to me with my trivia fact, and I'll see you guys next week.
Why am I amazing?
Nothing.
Because I knew that Freddie Mercury was from Zanzibar?
No, you just your train of thought. You were like, I think that's near Africa. It's in Africa. Freddie Mercury comes from there.
Yay!
Yay!
Anyway, now guys, you're gonna notice a sudden change in the sound quality because the rest of this episode will be recorded at some later date, possibly in Canada, possibly
2 days from now when we watch Doctor Who.
Yeah, possibly whenever I'm back in Northern Ireland and Omega's here. We're not entirely sure.
Yeah, due to using the interview instead of our music break, the episode would run really long if we had the story from the store, so that will return next episode.
Yes. So the episode will continue after we've seen the next episode of Doctor Who, Nightmare in Silver.
Oh, and you might have noticed it in the last 2 episodes. We do have a new little intro that we play. We're talking about Doctor Who. It's kind of like in a classic Doctor format. That was Skizip888 did that for us, and if you check Skizip888, if you're listening, you are in the credits now. You're an honorary lesbian. Can you imagine?
Do.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Lesbian Talk. We have transplanted or transmatted or whatever to the wonderful land of Canada, and we have our honorary lesbian Robert Millian here with us because we're up in Montreal, like we said we might be.
Hello, audience, and I've been using that honorary lesbian position quite often
To get a
since
lot
they
of
left.
pussy.
Right. So we actually had something to talk to you guys about, and that would be Nightmare in Silver, the newest episode of Doctor Who.
Doctor.
Just finished watching it a couple of minutes ago.
Yes, we
Like
did.
literally like 2 minutes ago.
Yeah, it actually aired yesterday, even though you're going to see this probably about a week after it airs, so, you know.
Sorry about that.
Spoiler. If you like Doctor Who, you should have seen it before now.
Yeah, but by now you have been on Twitter or Gallifrey Base or IO9 or whatever.
Yeah, you already would have got it.
It's your own fault for not watching something a week after it aired.
Yeah, especially in a country where it's airing and you're not in piracy. Hooray.
Oh, this is a Space Channel. Sci-fi gets that.
Yeah, but not everybody has higher tier cable. I mean, I had basic cable, and I actually ended basic cable because I didn't use it anymore. Like, I had like the standard 100 or so channels and ended it so I could, just not pay and use like Hulu and Netflix. So, I don't have BBC America. I have a VPN!
Okay, now, anyway, this is part 2 of Doctor Who's short-lived interest in having names that are based on colors.
What was the other one?
Crimson Horror was the last
Oh,
one.
right, last week, yeah.
Yeah. Ooh.
Listen.
Wow, so long ago.
I'm tired.
It's almost
Anyway.
as though you had a time machine of some sort.
This is me hitting her. So, first off, Warwick Davis was really good.
I saw the twist about 3/4. Well, no, sorry, about a quarter, and I was like, he's the ... spoiler emperor, and then everyone else was like, Fisher, he would never be the emperor.
I said he might have been the previous emperor.
I was like,
Whoa. But yeah, so no, he's very good, and actually there wasn't any bad acting in this episode. Oh well, there kind of was from the kids who
yes,
were
there was, from
obnoxious
Matt
and
Smith.
Yeah, the kids were a little bit, but Warwick Davis made it all worthwhile.
Yeah, and the captain of the guard, she was kind of saucy. I liked her.
Bad acting from Matt Smith.
Well, not really
The
bad
Cybermen
acting.
are meant to have all of their emotions
over the top.
repressed.
I was wondering about that. I'm like, how is he going to call himself Mr. Clever if he? And why is he being so flamboyant? Because Cybermen lose all their individuality. Like,
well, it depends on the the version of the Cybermen. Some of them do, some of them don't, but they most definitely don't have emotions unless they're David Banks and they love to pump their fist and be all like, excellent.
Well, maybe because he wasn't fully converted, he still had some of the Doctor's emotions.
Yeah, but it still doesn't turn you into an evil version of who you were before.
Well, he said that he was possessed by the whole cyber planet itself, and the Doctor's the Doctor, so it's possible that the thing only had emotion because the Doctor was fighting it.
I think
I
think you're reaching. Honestly, I think it's less to do with Neil Gaiman's script than more to do with Matt Smith deciding to just play it like that. I think I haven't read the script, but I imagine if the script probably said to play it robotically or something.
True.
But although he just said Mr. Clever, so I don't know.
Mr. Clever.
Did not care for that, but I did think that it would have been a nice place to put an old doctor in there, having an old doctor play the mind version of the
yeah, especially
Doctor.
Colin Baker, and he's available for voice work.
They came
Just
close
saying.
to it with the little pictures at one point.
That was cool.
That was a nice callback.
I went like this.
Yep, and so that was nice. Though it would have been nice to have one of the old doctors. You wouldn't even have to make it clear that it's the Doctor. All you could just come up with
No,
some
because
sort of,
if it was William Hartnell, he could be all old and decrepit in his body language.
yeah, you could have had. William Hartnell's dead,
And
so.
he could have called Clara Susan, because that "Shut up, Susan," which everyone's wanted to say to Susan Foreman since forever. So.
Well, yeah, for Matt Smith's bits when he was talking as the evil guy, he could have been like evil William Hartnell, which is pretty much William Hartnell in the first episode.
That's true.
He's even worse in the original pilot, which they recorded and then re-recorded, where he actually just wore a regular 1960s suit and all, but he was
Get
much
off the
worse.
PMS. And
He
then
was
try.
much worse.
Well, he is like your old, like, crotchety great uncle. Let me tell you about the war. You see, it's because of the damn Democrats. Where's my bourbon?
Well, lovely impersonation of William Hartnell there.
As a southern old person.
Yeah.
Damn it, Susan. I
Right.
keep telling you about the homosexuals.
Though ironically, William Hartnell was in the war.
Oh.
He,
When I was in the war, the time war. Okay, I will be in the time war. I'm derailing, aren't I?
he's like a Texas oil billionaire.
No, he's like your old great uncle at Thanksgiving, and you go talk to him because you feel bad because he's kind of racist, and the rest of the family won't talk
Well,
to him.
that's William Hartnell again.
There you go. But so no, it was a good episode. The only thing I didn't like really, I don't like when Clara's like, I'm just the best and I'm so awesome and I have all these tactical skills that I just have for some reason and I'm perfect. I'm like,
I
shut
don't
up.
think
you're
she
not.
has tactical skills so much as the doctor didn't trust the captain woman.
For good reason.
Maybe she's just trusting her judgment.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, it did kind of seem at the end like, your classical tower defense game. So, I mean, it's kind of stupid, but I really would have liked the line, this is just like that tower defense app I downloaded on my smartphone, 3 months ago. And one of the kids could be like, you were really good at that. And that I would have been like, okay.
Yeah.
That's
Although now I'm gonna be a bit critical. Although the episode was far from the worst episode this season, very far from it. Not quite as good as the last couple ones, because they were really solid. This is probably
Yeah, they were.
better than Cold War, not as good as Hyde or the Crimson Horror.
Yeah.
And this one, and honestly, I'm gonna get some shit from people for this. Neil Gaiman should not write, quote unquote, should not write for the Cybermen. Neil Gaiman is far too whimsical, and he is far too fairy tale logic.
Yeah, his original episode that he did for the first one, that was great.
Yeah, that fit in perfectly
Yeah.
tone-wise. Cybermen, you really need someone analytical. Ideally, you need someone
Isaac Asimov. I don't
he
care
would
that
do
he's
it right.
dead.
He would actually do
Yeah.
it right because the guys who created the Cybermen and the first stories with them, which are the classics of the Cybermen era, which is the 10th Planet, which is the moon base, the wheel in space, the
Like the
Tomb
kind
of
of
the
old
Cybermen.
classic, hard, crunchy space sci-fi.
Yeah, the first two Doctors,
love
those
that
ones
shit.
were the golden age of the Cybermen. And honestly, Kit Pedler and Jerry Davis, one of them or possibly both of them, were scientists.
Oh.
So the Cybermen were inspired by sort of looking at organ transplants and and artificial limbs and stuff and thinking, where could this all end up? And I preferred that version. Like this one continues something I had an issue with in the first. New Who Cybermen.
Zydrate comes in a little glass vial. Speaking
This-
about it.
This one continues an issue. In New Who, the Cybermen are brains in a robotic body, which basically makes them robots that you can be turned into. The Old Who, they weren't like that. The Old Who were much more like the Borg, honestly.
Well, didn't there have to be... I fairly remember there being a lengthy conversion process. I mean, even like 2 seasons ago with Matt Smith, like the guy was half converted, and they were, metal work and welding was going on, and then he heard the cries of a child, and love saved everything. But before that happened, there was quite a lengthy conversion process.
Yeah.
In the episodes when they were in the alternate universe,
Yeah.
they were just like the whole bodies inside.
Yeah, and in Colin Baker's era, you had half converted people, but then if the conversion process was stopped midway through, as what happened in the sequel to The Lodger with Love Saves Everything, that guy,
Mhm.
I can't remember his name because it wasn't a good episode. You died. One of the heroes of Attack of the Cybermen, one of Colin Baker's early ones, he gets half cyber converted. Well, after the cyber controller crushes his hands. Sort of crushes both his hands. He got blood going everywhere, and then he gets cyber converted. The doctor or someone stops the process, and he falls out and he dies because they stopped the cyber conversion partway through.
Yeah.
Which is far more realistic. The episode with the what was the name of the episode? The one with the baby, Stormageddon. I would have liked that episode 758, exactly 758% more, If the father had died,
Yeah, but there was
that would have given it weight.
because then the doctor would have been like left with a baby.
Yeah, but then he could have given it to the guy's wife
He
because she
could-
exists.
Oh, I don't remember what happened to her. I was like, he could have given it to the pawns, and it could have grown up and killed her song.
All I can think about that is like the doctor teams up with two other incarnations. It could be 3 doctors and a baby.
Yes! No, that's great. Someone has to write the fanfic. Quick, somebody get on that one.
Oh, and Neil Gaiman, I'm guessing this is probably more to do with you were told to do this. I'm just guessing. But it was nice of you to have the Doctor, or Evil Doctor, impersonate 9 and 10, with Fred Chestic and Alonso. You could have done other doctors. You could have had, like, being a John Pertwee, but going, I'll explain later.
Reverse the polarity of the neutron beam.
Neutron flow, yeah, that was another one you could have done. The second Doctor has "Oh my giddy aunt" when he's afraid. The other Doctors, Seventh Doctor, you just need to roll your R's really, really ridiculously.
Or it could be, or
Colin Baker would have been opera singing a bit.
yeah, or refer to companions that aren't there anymore. Like, no, Jamie, get back.
Yeah, you could have done more with that, and honestly, it feels like you're just being self-referential
And
to the new show.
And you know what? This is I didn't realize how much this pissed me off, but it's been pissing me off this whole season. Is that we get it. She's the enigma, the impossible girl, the one that can't be solved, the Rubik's Cube with tits. I don't care. But, he seems to be obsessed with Clara, and that's fine. She's a problem he can't solve, and, not knowing something makes him uncomfortable and twitchy. But he never, I kind of feel bad, because, all of his companions have been significant parts of his lives, and he never seems to, in his memories, he never seems to think about them. There was a reference in Crimson Horror, and that was really cool. But that's the first one in how long?
Yeah.
Think about Perry, damn it. She still loves you, Doctor.
Yes.
Kind of something like
And
that.
Brian Blessed.
And Brian Blessed.
The other one, I forgot what I was going to say. You talk, Robert.
Okay, well, going back to the point when they were referencing the other doctors, I thought that was a great touch on, but they can't do everything. They can't bring in people yet because they're doing the special whatever, and we're gonna get our fix of doctor on doctor action then.
Well,
I hope so.
Well, the thing is, they don't even have to bring the surviving actors back. If it's something like what was going on, quote unquote, in the Doctor's mind, which the little Gallifreyan ruins floating around were pretty cool, but that could be done as you could just take part of old footage, make it semi-transparent, superimpose it in that background area. You slow it down maybe a little teeny bit. Then that would have been great. That would have been enough for us because obviously, Colin Baker said, he's like, yeah, well, I don't exactly look like I did, and the other doctors that are surviving are old now, but you have that footage. Okay, sometimes you have that footage. We have Adobe. We have the technology. We can rebuild the footage.
We can make it better.
We can put them right in the episode. Now, did you think of what you wanted to say?
Honestly, I didn't. It was really important. It was connected to what you were saying before you talked about that. So, can you give the bullet points what you were saying again? Maybe you'll kickstart my brain.
Why? Well, Clara, and he's obsessed with her, and he should think about the other companions, because they are good.
Oh yes. But Clara. Okay, the Doctor's all like, holy shit, she's dead in the past. Holy shit, she's dead in the future. Holy shit, there she is. I'm gonna take her on an adventure so I can work this out. Hey, Doctor, you're a fucking time traveler. Predestination paradox. You have come across people who were shattered across time into multiple time zones, and you've had interactions with them. Have you forgotten that Douglas Adams penned Fourth Doctor Adventure City of Death? Because that shit happens. The whole point of the story was this guy was shattered across time and past, future, and he was working with his other cells to do shit. So,
we're like that movie with Chow Yun-fat.
Yeah, I'm guessing that makes sense. I don't know.
Yeah, he goes and he kills himself in other. He has to battle himself in other realities so he can.
Oh, the one with Jet Li.
Yeah, and with Jet Li, but he becomes more and more powerful.
I never saw how that made sense.
I don't know. I saw the trailer.
If you kill him, and then another reality will split off where you didn't.
Well, that was convenient quantum theory. was in that movie.
Inconvenient for people who think logically.
Anyway.
But yeah, anyway, Doctor, the chances are whatever happened to her has not happened in her timeline yet. It's going to happen as a result of you trying to work shit out.
Most likely, yeah.
You're a moron.
You probably broke it because you touched it.
Here, call back to the episode Hyde. Doctor, you're being a twat.
Okay, yeah, I can't really argue with that one. The setting, like the carnival planet, could have been really hokey and stupid, but it ended up working. It worked, you know. I thought it did. The kids were obnoxious and I hate them.
Oh.
And I hope that they're in as little as possible because I hate them.
Well, I think this might be a one-shot for them because...
No, they're in the next one, apparently.
No! Why can't...
We don't know how much, but they're definitely in the episode
Can't he,
somehow.
throw them into the Time War and that's the end of it?
They become Davros.
Like, okay, yes. Merge them together in the fires of the Eye of Harmony and make them Davros.
Eye of Harmony doesn't have fires.
No, but it confused people. Like, remember... In Journey to the Center of the TARDIS, the two brothers stood too close together, and the radiation fused them together.
Yeah, but that was very silly.
I thought it was cool, but because such a thing is probably possible. Like, you know, if you're burning.
Well, I don't think it was fused. I think it was just they melted together.
Yeah, like their skins and I don't know. I've never been at ground zero of a nuclear bomb, but I think it could happen. But what else? I don't know.
But I don't think skin actually melts.
No, it can. Because if you
we've seen Raiders of the Lost Ark.
No, it can because see, you know those guys in the Olympics that it's not the luge, but it's like the super luge. Well, they wear these suits, right? And if they are, I read this somewhere, if they were to fall off the little luge thing, the friction, they're going like 300 miles an hour, is so strong that it can like the suit can melt into their skin. Don't give me a look.
And I would like to,
She's giving me
Robert,
a look, everybody.
I am familiar with this story that is explaining how the Emperor of Mankind battled Horus the Despoiler in Warhammer 40,000, and they clearly stated that Horus used the power of the Chaos Gods to melt flesh and skin from the Emperor.
And yet the Eye of Harmony is probably even better than that.
That was an issue, of White Dwarf, so... They know what they're talking about. It had pictures and everything. They were like drawn. Great.
Well, we also got a trailer for next week's, which is The Name of the Doctor, which they better not say what it is, or I'm gonna be pissed.
Like, go fuck yourself.
They're probably gonna say the name at least at the special.
No, I don't want to know it. That will ruin everything.
In the same way, the Doctor's wife wasn't actually literally about the Doctor's wife, and they're just gonna tease, and they're not gonna do it. At least if they do reveal it. I want to smack Stephen
No, the
Moffat
fan
in
rage
head.
will be delicious. It will be like nuclear reactions across the face of the world. But the bad guys look kind of badass. They're called the Whispermen, and I want to know what's with this, like, you know, seeing but not being heard kind of theme.
Well, the Whispermen are working with Richard E. Grant, who is like the personification of the Great Intelligence.
Yeah, but there's the Whispermen, and then there's the Silence.
The Silence are trying to stop the Doctor answering the question. The Great Intelligence is trying to get the Doctor to answer the question.
Well, then his people shouldn't be called the Whispermen. They should be the
Loud
shouty social media confession
like,
men.
Talking, no talking. So the Silence
Don't you want to put it on your Facebook, Doctor?
So the Silence are possibly the good guys.
I guess, but it just seems like don't blink, don't look, things and stuff, hush up.
Because apparently the Doctor's name will cause something horrible to happen. That was probably just something to do with the Time War, because everything's got to do with the fucking Time War.
But then the thing is, why didn't he use his name ever since the beginning? I mean, people must know his name. It must be in the records of Gallifrey. So it must be in the Matrix.
Yeah, and doesn't that apply to the other Gallifreyans also? Like the Master, their real name?
His real name is Koshi.
Isn't that a cereal?
I don't know.
That's Kashi.
Gosh.
Because they make honey almond flax bars, and I get a box every week.
There are a bunch of Time Lord names that are known. Brusa, Romana, Friday, really long. There is let me see. There is Koshi, the Master. There is Ushas, the Rani. Sorry. You've got Drax, that's the war chief. I can't remember the name of the meddlings. Maldrod, something like that.
I can't wait to see that guy in Guardians of the Galaxy. Drax. You know.
Oh, Drax
Same guy,
Destroyer.
yeah?
Probably not.
Do you reckon that the Master would just before they were like really mortal enemies, would just come find the doctor and say his name to piss him off. Would you stop that? They call me the doctor. Yeah, you know your real name.
Well, the
But like,
Shut
why?
up, Derek Jacobi. You're gonna be played by a bad actor soon.
But why? Like, if names are all known, why don't those
Well,
names destroy
He
time?
could have retroactively gone back and erased his name from existence.
it's some Russell T Davies and Stephen Moffat era magic. You know, just they take the Arthur C. Clarke thing of sufficiently advanced science is indistinguishable from magic, and they completely misunderstand by just having magic that is blatantly magical and saying it's actually science. It's just really advanced. It's like, oh fuck you.
She said. But yeah, it was a good episode. It wasn't as good as the Crimson Heart. It was better than Cold War. And
but the thing about
little people can be good actors, so don't be mean to them. Case in point, Warwick Davis.
Warwick Davis is awesome with his work now. He's being more of an online presence. Does all kinds of stuff on YouTube. It's
Oh,
awesome.
that's neat.
I just found out
Check him
about
out on
that.
YouTube, you guys.
Yeah.
as you should arrange an interview because you interview people.
Yeah.
That'd be pretty cool.
He's nowadays he's internet level, so fingers crossed.
That'd be cool. But yeah, okay. But the Time Lord names, some of them were mentioned in the show. You know, Romana's and Bruce's real
And
name,
Captain
Flavia,
what's his face?
Captain. I forgot his name. Commander Maxwell.
Yeah.
Comic, but they were all mentioned in the series. The though they might actually be shortenings of other names. The other ones, Ushas, Koshino, they're all from the novels. Now, someone suggested in one of the novels, and this is a wonderful idea, that culturally the Gallifreyans will add a section to their name whenever there's an important event happens, like death of a family, people, some sort of, just great events, graduation, whatever. So this person suggested
Your bar mitzvah.
yeah. So
Losing their virginity.
yeah. Well, if I personally disagree that the Time Lords have sex. No, I talk about this in Toddy Who as
The first time they knit on the looms. Look, I made a scarf. I'm not a virgin anymore.
But there's this wonderful idea, which is really, really interesting. It's the sort of thing that you might expect some sort of just random culture to do on Earth, which it's still pretty alien. Is you had a different section to your name, and each part symbolizes something else, and it just creates a really long and unwieldy name. And so this person suggested that the Doctor, every single time a companion leaves him or joins him, that he adds a new part to his name. And it's so fucking long that he would probably take several hours for him to say the whole thing.
He probably has a computer program on the TARDIS that tracks it for him. Like some kind of really huge spreadsheet.
Possible.
But it occurs in all sorts of time at once.
Yeah.
Well, wait, then wouldn't he already know? No, I guess he wouldn't already know all of his names.
Well, the TARDIS knows everything. The TARDIS knows what's happening beforehand and afterwards. And in the Doctor's Wife, Neil Gaiman's last episode, which was really good, and I should show it to you.
You should.
The TARDIS the mind was sort of put into a human brain, and so was trying to deal with living in the present tense, because it was trying to explain, that it goes, oh, you stole me, you were stealing me, you were going to steal me, to the Doctor, trying to explain that, the TARDIS sees everything that's happening at once.
Oh, so like back in the day.
Yeah, she was having real trouble with tenses. And she kept.
That's how I am when I speak in French because I can't conjugate anymore.
I think it's a little more complicated than that.
Well, yeah. Or you could just assume that I can see all time at once.
That's more fun.
Yeah, we can go with that.
But in French.
But in French.
Yes.
All French time.
Tous les temps en français. That's not even. But so we thought that this was a good episode. But it's dictionary time, unfortunately, because this is the episode that's going to have the extra interview in it. So my dictionary's in another country.
Find grab my underground book.
That's
okay, Robert.
That's what I've been thinking since the beginning of the episode. I'm just saying.
Okay. Now, guys, we don't have the book dictionary, so what we do have is my copy of the book I'm reading right now. Underground, Overground, A Passenger's History of the Tube, as in the London Underground, by Andrew Martin. Yes, fuck you, I'm reading a history of the London public transport train system. I usually read about castration and the invention of heterosexuality and black victims of the Holocaust. Right now, I'm reading about fucking trains. Now, Robert, There are 300 pages in this book. Name one.
Steve.
He's not
Uh-huh.
here.
Number one.
Okay.
Not number one. You're not allowed to choose that. That would be too easy.
256.
And this page does certainly exist. It's the very end of chapter 13.
Do-do-do.
Okay, there are a lot of lines. Say a line. Just say a number between, say, 1 and 40.
7.
Okay, there are 10 words. However, 3 of these are very common, so we'll cut this down to, 6. So,
Pick the third.
Great. The word is great, and the line was color scheme of the Great Eastern successor, the London and ... Northeastern Railway.
Good, great, grand, wonderful. No yelling on the bus.
Just talk about great, and hopefully that will be the description for next week's episode of Doctor Who. But honestly, I doubt it.
It's
Great Scott!
I'm expecting badness.
Maybe it won't be as bad as you think. Maybe it'll just
I
be a
think
little bit bad.
It's entirely possible it won't be as bad as I think, but I'm expecting badness.
Alright, so anyway, I've been for about the week of days that it took to make this episode. I've been the Omega.
I've been the Amanda Hagen, and tomorrow I go back to Ireland.
It'll be okay. Tomorrow I go back to Baltimore, so, And tomorrow, you're just going to Montreal. So.
Tomorrow's just tomorrow for me.
Oh, that's unfortunate. But
Well,
yes, we've had...
But with the departure of you guys, so that makes it special.
Oh.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it's very special when we go away.
Yeah.
When we arrive, it's so unspecial that he decides to spend the entire time in Ottawa.
1 day of 3 days. Come on.
In the land of Ottawa, where it's windy as
It's like,
fuck.
oh, look, there's an Arto.
Whens.
Wawa.
There's no Wawa up here. It's only down in DC. Or in the US. But anyway, he has been Robert Million, and we are saying good night, everyone.
Good night.
And check out the Con Men Ottawa Comic Con footage.
Yeah, do that.
Yes, we got some weird stuff there.
My glasses
is-
get broken.
Well,
Yeah.
not on film.
Yeah, well, you don't see too much of a close-up or anything, but in the fight, yeah, those happened just during the fight.
Who beat up Diamanda Hagen? Find out next time.